The Trump case signals the end of equal justice under the law. Let's check it out. Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. It's hard to quantify the surge of hypocrisy that we're all feeling right now as this federal case against former President Trump unfolds. The desperation to destroy Trump has cost our federal government loads of its credibility. Clearly, it is a calculated decision they must think will pay off when Trump is finally gone. What former President Trump is accused of is an allegation Americans simply assumed our leadership class was insulated from. Right now, classified documents are the most benign allegation being leveled against sitting President Joe Biden, who appears to be vigorously corrupt. More on that here in just a minute. As far as documents, Biden clearly has been caught illegally stealing sensitive classified information from a SCIF while he was a senator. Some of these documents go back 40, 50 years. He's had them in his garage or his office, which should be a felony, according to James Comey, who reminded us all that it is a felony to mishandle classified information either intentionally or in a grossly negligent way. And if you take something from a SCIF, I'd say that's pretty intentional. When Comey released that statement, he was actually talking about Hillary Clinton, though, who deserves federal charges as well. But Peter Strzok saved her from that. The fired agent admitted to changing grossly negligent to extremely careless to save Hillary's hide. Hillary's husband, Bill, another would-be felon. Trump reminded us of former President Clinton's sock drawer scandal over the weekend when he spoke in Georgia.
They also don't mention the defining lawsuit that was brought against Bill Clinton, and it was lost by the government, the famous socks case that says he can keep his documents. They don't mention that. These are minor details, and that's the ruling law.
So when Slick Willie left the White House, he took 79 audio tapes from interviews he'd done with a journalist for a book. Judicial Watch filed suit over this, alleging Clinton had shared classified material with the author on those tapes and was keeping them in an unsecure setting, sock drawer. In the end, Clinton was vindicated. The Presidential Records Act does not confer any mandatory or even discretional authority on the archivist. Under the statute, this responsibility is left solely to the president from the judge in the case. Now, annoying precedents like this are infuriating the Trump haters out there. In truth, taking classified documents is just not a big deal. Even Mike Pence takes classified documents. The Espionage Act for classified documents is a joke. But in addition to the Biden White House needing to paint Trump as somehow more crooked than our influence-peddling President Joe Biden, our government simply hates Donald Trump with a passion as well, and that's why we have all this. They're searching for any way to lock him up. But the machine is still trying to fool the uninformed masses, most people that don't sit around and watch cable news all day, to fool them into believing that this is not political. So they clutch their pearls and they jump on TV and they feign shock at the, quote, egregious crimes of former President Trump, while Comey and McCabe attempt to play dumb on Hillary whenever logical people point out the obvious hypocrisy, saying that they never saw any evidence of obstruction in the Hillary case. Well, her aides smashed phones and laptops with hammers, and they used bleach bit, which I don't even know if you can get. Who gets that? The mafia? The gaslighting right now on all this is legendary, and as Biden stares down serious, very serious corruption allegations, Democrats swear that the investigation into Trump is fully credible and, of course, politically independent. There's a lot of people trying to claim that this is independent. Here's a question, though. If the Justice Department is fully independent from the White House, then why is James Comey so scared? Why did James Comey say this?
Think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies. I'm sure I'm on the enemies list, because the president constitutionally does oversee the executive branch entirely, which includes the Department of Justice, prosecutors and investigators. And so he could commission, direct that individuals be pursued.
So the same people saying that the DOJ and the White House are totally untethered also admit that if Trump gets back in the White House, he could stir up all sorts of politically intentional investigations into people he doesn't like. So which is it? I think we all know how dirty this system is. We all know that Comey is lying when he says that. We all know that everything being thrown at Trump is very political, and we all know where it's coming from. It's not just being dreamt up by Merrick Garland. The White House is pushing all of this. And the ones pretending to be holding on to our institutional integrity are the dirtiest of all. Those who feign all of this shock over Trump's behavior are capable of so much worse than he. And they count on the complicit media to paint them as honorable patriots. They really need that. Watch this interchange between Vivek Ramaswamy and the host here on CNN. It tells you everything you need to know about how this really works.
There's absolutely no evidence, unless you can show me some, that President Biden has had anything to do with this prosecution.
The job of the political media, if it has one job, is to hold the U.S. government accountable.
Yes, we know that.
And instead, we're doing the bidding. You're seeing the media doing the bidding of the U.S. government.
No.
Ask the question. Get to the bottom of what Biden told Garland and what Garland told Jack Schmitt. Get to the bottom of it. Let's actually restore journalism in this country. That's what's actually missing, is getting to the truth.
Okay. Thank you for that. We are absolutely asking these questions.
Good.
And we know how to be good journalists because we do it every single day.
From the state's biggest mouthpiece, Dana Bash over at CNN. We're great journalists at CNN. We do it every day. She said that. Vivek somehow didn't laugh and was respectful. So good on him. When it's an allegation that they like, they need no evidence at all to perpetuate it for months on end. We saw that with Trump, everything Trump for those 4 years. But when the allegation is politically inconvenient for the media in this country, even if it's blatantly obvious, like what's happening with Biden and the influence peddling, well, there's never any evidence. They never, ever find any evidence of anything that they don't want to find because they just don't look for it. It's very easy to play this game. Of course, Merrick Garland and Biden's team work together. Of course they do. Of course the DOJ is politicized. Of course it is. Of course Trump is a target. Of course a Democrat would never, ever be charged in this moment. Of course. It is a corrupt system, and Biden is the most corrupt in many ways. And the only thing protecting him from an obvious influence peddling bribery scheme involving several different nations, several shady actors, and millions of dollars, one of the biggest corruption scandals this country would ever seen. Again, something that would make Watergate look like a parking ticket, and that's true. Read the details of Watergate, read the allegations against Joe Biden. Tell me which one you think is a way bigger explosive crime, and they still talk about Watergate 50 years later. The only thing preventing that story from exploding is the fear of Trump. This afternoon, Senator Chuck Grassley announced the Burisma whistleblower who says he paid the Bidens millions of dollars to have a prosecutor fired. He says he has conversations, recorded conversations between him and Hunter, and he has 2 conversations between himself and the President of the United States, then VP, Joe Biden.
These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot. Based on the facts known to the Congress and the public, it's clear that the Justice Department, the FBI, haven't nearly had the same laser focus on the Biden family.
Grassley still going strong. The media will hyperventilate over Trump's boxes forever and continue to ignore the beginnings of the biggest presidential scandal that this country has ever seen.